2 high razor wire fences are guarded by armed combat-ready soldiers on both sides, trapping everyone north of the fences inside, keeping everyone else out. Relatives are separated by a decades-old political truce in a threatening ongoing war. There's no travel back and forth, no communication in or out. There are rumors of starvation in the north, and Christians living there worship secretly and hide their Bibles if they have one because they can be imprisoned for their faith and even executed. In South Korea, Christians are nearly 30% of the population, and churches of 50 to 100,000 members praying fervently in early morning meetings in full churches. Into this stark reality, President and Mrs. Habecker and the Taylor University Chorale traveled over spring break 2012 to minister to churches and universities, to learn and experience the Korean church, and cultivate formal agreements between Taylor and churches and universities there. Along the way, our eyes were opened, relationships were built, and our minds and hearts were changed. We sang in vibrant church services at Yeonkwang Presbyterian Church, Myeongsung Presbyterian Church, and Cheongkyo Methodist Church, one of the oldest churches in Korea. The liturgy was compelling, and people in the congregation seemed to worship in spirit and in truth, and we were deeply moved. Each church has a distinct personality, but their common faith is obvious. I saw again that Jesus is much more than just the Jesus I know. He has a personal relationship with every one of his people, no matter where they live or what language they speak. What is so awesome is that God is bigger than I ever could have imagined. Each day, each new experience, I understand more and more that he and his goodness have no end. The more I know him, the more there is yet to discover. And the same Jesus we seek in our own quiet place is being worshipped in massive assemblies around the world. When the Koreans sang enthusiastic praises in their language and we sang along in English, many of us were reduced to tears because the fact that we didn't understand what they were singing didn't even matter. All we knew and cared about was that we were all worshiping God in spirit and in truth. To an outsider, the sound may be muddled amid multiple languages singing at once, but God hears the heart song, which is far more than words and melody. True worship comes from the heart, and when believers worship together despite a language barrier, all you can do is use your heart. We wanted more time to get to know each other better, and after worship service and concert, we mingled with the people and made new friends, many our own age. Especially at Hangdong Global University, we connected with the students and encouraged each other through our shared faith and laughter. We were sad to leave, but we knew that God had touched us both. In Korea, churches have prayer services at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 8 o'clock in the morning. The typical pastor goes to bed at 10 o'clock at night and wakes up at 3:30 a.m. to prepare for morning worship. It is a grueling schedule, but one that those who are called to it fulfill joyfully. It requires more dedication than the average person is willing to commit, but people in Korea attend every single day. They pray for each other, for their church, and for specific countries around the world, including ours. We always received a spoken or sung prayer of blessing wherever we went, and we were encouraged to pray for them and the advancement of the gospel around the world. We sang at 2 universities. At Halim University, we shared the gospel with a non-believing crowd of students our age. Afterwards, over dinner together, we heard testimonies of those whose hearts God had touched. At Hangdong Global University, where the students are Christians, we sang together and with their student choir. We traveled with our president and Mrs. Habecker to cultivate relationships with leaders of universities, churches, and the Korean Bible Society. We presented an honorary doctorate to the former senior pastor of Yeonkwang Presbyterian Church. Every place we visited, Dr. Bennett and Dr. Habecker presented a gift and expressed our desire to develop a relationship. Our presence and music helped because we shared ourselves in transparent and beautiful ways. Our Korean hosts expressed their gratitude for the uplifting messages in our music and high standards of performance.
These are your historical women. God will bless us. Thank you very much. President Eugene Habecker and Mary Lou, okay? And also welcome.
And then, on a sunny, chilly morning, we navigated security blockades and armed soldiers to visit the demilitarized zone, which is one of the most fortified and guarded stretches of land in the world. They told us that North Korea is the most persecuted country in the world for their faith and for any sign of resistance against their dictator. Most people live there in extreme poverty, and all Christians are forced to worship secretly, knowing that they are risking being thrown into prison camps or killed. In a little church overlooking the North Korean mountains, we held a prayer service for those who have family members who are trapped in North Korea. South Korean Christians are in constant prayer for their brothers and sisters in the North and anticipate the day when the razor wire fences and blockades will be torn down and the military installations and weapons will be removed. The Korean Bible Society has prepared 1 million Bibles for that day for the North Korean people. We saw their industrial advancement since the truce in the war in 1953 by riding through their massive container ship manufacturing plant that builds ocean-going vessels more than 3 football fields long, and a Hyundai automobile factory that produces a new car off the assembly line every 13 seconds. We experienced South Korea, eating at local restaurants and touring ancient palaces and Buddhist temples, centuries-old burial mounds like rounded pyramids, and beautiful, peaceful garden pagodas. We took our shoes off at some restaurants and sat on warm heated floors on cushions at low tables where the meat was grilled right in front of us.
Korean burrito, right here.
Chopsticks are the utensil of choice, and we learned how to make them work. At the ancient reconstructed royal palace in Seoul, we watched the colorful ceremonial changing of the guard. All of these cultural aspects of the tour showed us who the Korean people are, where they have come from, and where they are going. We came home realizing in a new way that we are each and all adopted members in the family of God in the worldwide ministry of Jesus Christ. Korea is 13 hours ahead of Indiana. 4 o'clock in the afternoon here in Indiana is 5 o'clock the next morning in Korea. That is when thousands of our brothers and sisters in Christ are gathering for prayer and worship in large urban churches in Seoul and Pohang and Gwangju, praying for us and for the world. For God so loves the whole world. Through His mercy, He gives us meaning and purpose, mission for today and vision for the future. It is God's gift of grace and our blessed assurance.